egocentric thinking, in the way that I think of it, we can learn a lot about if we study the work of Piaget. And Piaget studied young children, systematically studied them, and found certain patterns of egocentric thought in their behavior, exemplified in their behavior. If we study what Piaget discovered, which we will be doing a little bit later, then we'll find direct parallels with adult thinking. So I would argue that adults do precisely the same things that children do in slightly different ways, and not all the time, of course, because we're not just egocentric, we're also rational. I mean, we have rational capacities. But insofar as we're being egocentric, we can look to the work of Piaget to help us understand that. The difference, a primary difference between children's egocentric thought and adult egocentric thought is what? Experience?
Skilling.
Sophistication?
You've had more time to practice it, you're more skillful.
Okay, good. Anything else?
Less self-deception on the child's part.
Well, less self-deception, therefore, they're more blatantly egocentric. So a child will grab a toy and say, it's my turn. But adults realize they can't just do that. Mm-hmm. So you can't make your egocentricity obvious. You have to hide it. So I think the primary difference between the child's egocentric nature and the adult's is the fact that it's hidden. I have to hide my egocentricity from you. Because if you catch me doing this, I won't be able to get away with it. So that I make my behavior appear to be perfectly legitimate. So I need to ride the front seat because I get car sick. So every time we go somewhere, I have to ride in the front seat. Not only that, I have to drive. Because I just can't, even if I'm in the front seat. Yeah, so when the real reason is, I want to. And maybe it's true that I get car sick when I am in the back seat. But if the real reason is I want to do it, and I don't really care how that affects anyone else, then it's egocentric. So it can be mixed up. It can be kind of a conglomeration of what makes sense and what's irrational, and that's another difficulty that we have. Okay?
I was wondering, in kids, it's not okay for them to be egocentric in their thinking, but it's the way they are. I mean, it's part of growing up. As adults, it's definitely not okay. Or if we're not aware that we have a responsibility, I guess I'm just struggling. We have a responsibility as an adult to be aware that we are, in fact, egocentric in our thinking, and that is beyond the capacity of, or initially beyond the capacity of children. That's something that we would hope, realize, or are brought to realize as they grow and mature.
Therefore, bottom line is what?
Well, 2 words, bad. I mean, not good.
Okay. So in other words, let me see if this is what you're trying to say. Something like this: with children, we expect them to be egocentric. So there's a sense in which you have to sort of tolerate that because it's just what little kids do. But with adults, we have to intervene because it's not okay.
Well, we want to facilitate adults so they can intervene in their own thinking. I can't get into your thinking because I just don't have access, and we're just not going to have a fruitful conversation if I'm trying to tell you what to think and how to think.
Right.
But if I can help you come to realize when you're being egocentric in your thinking, then I hope I'm not being egocentric in thinking this, but maybe I've helped you.
Right. Assuming you haven't been egocentric and I have.
Right. Right.
This would never happen.
Well, no, this is...
Not in a pure sense, no. But
Now, this points up another really interesting thing. When you learn and study the concept, let's say, of egocentricity, then your egocentric tendencies will use that concept, misuse it on other people. So you may say, when you're actually being selfish, you may accuse someone else of it. So you can say, you're just being egocentric right now, whenever you are the one. So it's always a sort of, now, is it me or is it you? I'm not really sure. Because egocentric thinking in the mind always appears to be perfectly justified. Now therein lies the problem. If it's true that egocentricity, selfishness, rigidity of thinking, failing to consider the rights and needs of others, failing to think from multiple viewpoints when relevant, if this is truly a problem, and yet when we are engaging in these ways, it appears to us to be perfectly rational, then what is to be done? I mean, is there any hope? And I say the hope lies in what we're doing right now. That is, we have to decide that we don't want to be that way. And that this is a problem. We have to study our minds, and we have to make the mind an object of continual study. Just like to Roger Federer, life is tennis. That is what he does. Morning, noon, and night is tennis. If you want to be able to get command of your mind, it's something like morning, noon, and night. You have to take it seriously. Now, just for a couple minutes, process with your partner. What are you getting? What additional points are you nailing down in your mind from this discussion?